That afternoon, the sheriff walked into the offices of Tricom International and demanded to see Mr. Sinclair. A few moments later, Sheriff Clark entered Sinclair's office and handed him an envelope. "Mr. Sinclair, you have been notified." A second later, he was alone in his large office, holding an envelope in his hands, and fear took over his entire body. After he read the complaint for the third time, he immediately told his secretary to invite Jason to his office. While his secretary was calling, Jason had just been served his complaint from the same sheriff. He hurried into Sinclair's office, and they both stood there, shocked and confused. "What the hell? How did this happen, Jason? If my wife finds out about this, I will be ruined. It is your fault. You told me this bitch would never leave us. You fix this, Jason, or I swear I will destroy you and your family. You understand?" Sinclair was a man not to be messed with. A ruthless street man who had worked his way to the top of this multi-billion-dollar organization and had no intention of giving up. Jonathan ran out of his office and waited for the elevator to go down to the 12th floor and talk to Kim. As he walked down the hallway toward Kim's office, he saw the sheriff coming in the opposite direction and realized that he was coming from Kim's direction. He ran into her office and saw her sitting at her desk, with tears streaming down her face. She cried uncontrollably and could not speak. David had just destroyed her world, just like she had destroyed his months ago. It took her over an hour to calm down enough to be able to speak, and even then, she could barely string a sentence together. Kim, what the hell happened? How did he know about all of us?" "What do you mean? I was just served with divorce papers. What do you mean by us?" "Sinclair and I have also been prosecuted and are facing a civil lawsuit for what happened. We don't know what evidence he has, but there must have been more to it than the 2 images you saw. You need to force David to back down, otherwise Sinclair will destroy us and my family. Oh my God, this is bad. It's horrible. Go to him and make him understand. Do whatever you need to do to stop this. Go home and deal with this. Call me tonight if you can and let me know what's going on." Kim packed her things, still shaking, and drove home. The man she loved, her husband, and the father of her children, was going to divorce her. She didn't want a divorce and really loved David, but somehow she found that sexual stimulation was what she needed and couldn't stop. She had to make David understand that she couldn't lose him over this. She returned to an empty house. The girls were at David's sister's house, as they were every afternoon, while they both worked. She called David's sister and asked if she could leave the children overnight. She didn't ask why, but of course Katie was happy to have the girls over for the night. Kim took a shower, fixed her hair and makeup, and waited for David to return from work. At 6 o'clock, she heard the garage door open and nervously waited for him to enter the house. "Hi, Kim. I didn't expect to see you tonight. I assumed you'd be with Jonathan. Oh, wait, he's married and has kids. I think this might be awkward. David, please, let's talk." She took his hand and sat him down next to her on the sofa. She looked surprisingly put together and much nicer than usual when she met him. He expected this and continued to play the game. "David, as you already know, I was notified today. But do you understand that I don't want a divorce? I need you, and I love you. I won't sign these papers. Jonathan means nothing to me. Yes, we had sex, but it was not love. I just needed it, and I'm so sorry. I'll never do this again, I promise." "Oh, do you promise? I think I can trust you now. So yeah, I'll just forget everything and we can go back to normal," I said, with a loving smile. Kim grabbed me and kissed me. "Thank you, baby. I love you so much. I'm glad that you forgive me and understand. I will never lie to you again." This was a surprise. I was sure that she understood that I was being sarcastic. I pulled back and pushed her away. "You're crazy, woman. I can never trust you again. After all your lies and deceit, there is nothing left. I gave you so many chances, but you continued to lie, fool me, and ruin our lives. I know all about your daily hotel lunch meetings with your bosses. Did you really think that I would take you back after what you did? Have you ever thought about the harm you are doing to girls? There's no way I can close my eyes to this. But you have to. And why are you going after Sinclair and Jonathan? Well, Your fuck buddies are also your CEOs and CEOs of a multi-billion-dollar company. After I leave your ass, I'm going to need money to properly support the girls, and considering they're partly responsible for destroying our marriage and my life, I'm going to destroy them too. I intend to destroy their family, harm them financially, and use them the way they used you. Kim had never heard David talk like that, and she had never seen him so angry and focused. The gravity of the situation finally dawned on her, and she realized that she was no longer in control of the situation or her husband. All she could do now was beg. So, with tears in her eyes, on her knees, she held David's legs and begged for forgiveness. David really felt sorry for her, but his rage overcome this weakness, and he carried her to the sofa. In a soothing voice, David addressed Kim as if she were a child. "Listen to me, Kim. You need to pack your bag and go to your mom's house for a few nights. Find a lawyer, and then we can set up a meeting to discuss everything. In the meantime, a word to the wise, I advise you to stay away from Jason and Jonathan. Things are about to get ugly." Later that evening, at her mom's house, she explained that she and David had gotten into a little fight and needed to be with her for a few days. At 11 p.m. that same day, she called Jonathan on his cell phone. Jonathan asked her to wait and quickly connected Jason with a three-way call. "Jason, are you here? Kim, are you there?" Yes, we are here." Sinclair began the conversation. "So, Kim, did you manage to persuade him to give up the lawsuits and the divorce?" "No, in fact, he kicked me out and warned me to be careful because it could lead to trouble." Sinclair shouted into the phone. "Jesus Christ, Jonathan, what have you done?" "Kim, you're a fucking bitch. I swear I will have you and Jonathan killed if my family finds out about this. I don't care what you do, but make it stop." Kim cried, "I can't do anything." "He is out of control and won't listen to anything I say. He doesn't even answer my calls or texts." Sinclair spoke up. "Jonathan, you need to fix this. Make an appointment with David and have him meet us at a bar somewhere. Anything loud and the noisier the better. Kim, you will be there too, and ask him to drop the lawsuit in front of us. If he says no, then Jonathan and I will explain how harmful it will be for him and his family if he doesn't back down. I have people tasked with fixing things like this, and I won't hesitate to use them to keep this show from turning into complete crap. Jonathan, do you understand what you need to do?" "Yes, Mr. Sinclair." "Kim, you know what you have to do, right?" "Yes, Mr. Sinclair." "Do it and make it happen tomorrow afternoon." "We don't have time to waste. Make an appointment tomorrow." Sinclair disappeared. Kim and Jonathan hung up after a few minutes, mulling over the situation. That night, when David heard the call, he was not surprised by their desperation and made his own plan. As expected, Jonathan called David the next morning and asked for a meeting to discuss a settlement. He said to meet him in the courtyard at 6 p.m. that same day. David agreed, and at 4 p.m. he was in his private investigator's office, preparing to meet with Jonathan. They have used the latest technology with noise-canceling technology to focus on the frequency of the voice and get clear sound, even in noisy environments. A private investigator will also be there to film the meeting as a stand-in for the event. David entered at 6:15, deliberately making them wait for him and adding a little extra time for the private investigator to locate his video camera. David saw Kim and approached the group. "Kim, I'm surprised to see you here with your boyfriends, but I think we know what your alliance is. Gentlemen, what can I do for you? Why are we here?" Sinclair spoke. "David, I'm Jason Sinclair, and I asked for this meeting." "Sinclair, you look completely different in real life. These videos don't do you justice. I can't say that I'm pleased to meet you." "Yes, that is exactly why we are here. This is Jonathan Wilkes." "Jonathan, the man who had sex with my wife and destroyed my marriage. I can't say I'm pleased to meet any of you." Sinclair spoke up. "I don't blame you for your anger. Believe me, if I were you, I don't know what I would do, but whatever it is, we need to discuss something." "Come on, what's on your mind?" said David. "We want you to drop the lawsuits you filed against me, Jonathan and company." "Funny, that's all?" "Oh no, sorry. I can't do this. Someone has to pay for taking away the most important thing in my life." Looking at Kim, he added, "The only woman I have ever loved and the mother of my children. I can't imagine life without her." Kim began to cry when she realized how she had destroyed the most important things in her life. "What will it take for you to stop all this and bring Kim back?" "Name your price." "First of all, there is no amount of money in the world that you could offer me to take her back. She betrayed my love, my trust, and the lives of our children for a party with you two idiots. This will never happen. I will drop the civil and corporate cases under two conditions. Number one, I want $5 million compensation. Number two, I want to meet both of your wives and Kim. You fully admit what you did. If you agree to these two conditions, I will stop business. Fuck you, David. I will give you $100,000, and you will have to sign an agreement that you will never discuss this with anyone." Sinclair leaned over and spoke quietly. "I can't put my family through this, and if they find out, David, I'll kill you. Kim told us your entire daily routine, and making you disappear would be a piece of cake. So let's try again." He was shocked when David smiled and took a sip of his drink. "Well, I can reduce the amount to $4 million, but your families need to know what you did." Sinclair was dumbfounded. "David, you're writing your own death sentence. Think about it carefully. Drop the charges and take Kim back. It was just a fling. We can end this." David took out his phone and sent 2 text messages, opened his email and sent the email he had set up. All videos and images, text messages, have now been sent to all of Kim's friends, her family, and work colleagues. The 2 text messages David sent were to the couriers who were sitting in front of Jason and Jonathan's house, awaiting his instructions. The message said, "Deliver the package," and within minutes, Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Wilkes now had duplicate 3-ring folders containing all the photos, videos, messages, phone calls, and evidence of their affair. Sinclair began to get angry and shouted due to David's inattention, "What the fuck, David? I'm talking to you." "What are you going to say? Will you drop the charges?" "My answer to you, Jason, Jonathan, and my wife is, go to hell." Just then, Jason and Jonathan's phones rang. Both their wives were talking on the phone. I saw Sinclair's face turn red, and he looked at me with angry eyes. I saw that Jonathan was in shock and actually saw tears welling up in his eyes. Kim looked at me and asked what was going on. I replied, "Check your email in a few minutes and I think you will understand." Sinclair hung up the phone with his wife, pointed his finger at my chest, and shouted, "You're dead, David. I'm going to cut your throat and watch you die like a dog." He turned and left the bar. Jonathan looked at me and simply said, "Why? Why did you do this to me?" I was amazed that he asked something so stupid. "Really? You used my wife, the love of my life, and the mother of my twin girls every day for the last 6 months, and set her up with Sinclair for a threesome, and you're surprised someone would strike back. Everything I sent to your sweet wife was for her benefit, so that she would know what a degenerate predator you are, and how you have ruined so many lives." Kim's phone started ringing when her sister, brother, aunt called her just a few minutes later. Now they all watched the videos and photos, and they had a lot of questions. She said she didn't know what they were talking about, and then opened her email to see what I had sent. Her jaw dropped, and she looked at me angrily. "How could you do this to me? You've made it too easy, baby. I really love you, but it's over between us. And after I give this audio recording of this meeting to the police and social services, my lawyer is almost convinced that I will get full custody of the girls, and you will be lucky to avoid jail. Sorry, kitty. Yes, kitten, that's my pet name for you that you shared with your bed buddy. I know it all, princess, and now you must pay for all your actions." To avoid becoming public knowledge, TRICOM settled the lawsuit by paying David Hunter $2 million. Jason Sinclair was suspended as CEO and fired without severance for violating the morals clause in his contract. He lost more than $10 million in stock options and a $5 million severance agreement. Sinclair is also serving a 5-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder, along with several other charges, after they investigated his business dealings. Sinclair's wife divorced him while he was in prison and crucified him financially. He will leave prison penniless, without a family, and without a place to live. This news made David feel a little better. and he even smiled for the first time in months. Mrs. Wilkes also divorced Jonathan, leaving him no money, no home, no child support, and no half of his income in alimony. He was fined $1 million in a civil trial for conspiracy, adultery, and loss of affection in David and Kim's marriage. He had lost his job and was now working as a day laborer. David was still enjoying his revenge when he received news of Jonathan's fate. He was forced to file for bankruptcy and began living under an overpass near where the day workers gathered. This also gave David some pleasure, and he again found himself smiling more often. Kim was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but with David's help, the sentence was reduced to 1 year of house arrest and 4 years of probation for conspiracy. She lost her fight for the children, and David now has full custody. Because of the evidence and the crime, she was not successful in her divorce. The house belonged to David, so she had nowhere to live. Before she was fired, she made the same amount as David, so there was no child support. Kim fell into a deep depression and now lives in her mother's basement. The family turned on Kim for what she did, which caused her to lose visitation rights with her children. The email I sent with the video and photos attached revealed a dark side of Kim that no one recognized. This had the desired effect and completely destroyed the Kim family's support network. No one can seem to forgive Kim, including Kim herself. She is on medication due to 3 suicide attempts. She's been in and out of mental hospitals for the past 6 months and can't forgive herself for all the lives she helped destroy. David now spends all his time with the girls. Not having to work after the divorce allows him to devote his life to his children. The children have not seen their mother since the suicide attempt, but they have a strong support group in David's sister and mother. The girls will be fine, and this traumatic episode will not have any lasting effects on them. Revenge was sweet, but revenge would never fully heal David's wounds. He still loved Kim and forgave her, but he would never forget her. The girls kept him busy, which prevented him from feeling lonely. Because of betrayal, lies, and deceit, it will be years before David can love and trust again. It's amazing how little things can have a far-reaching impact on so many people. Be careful. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.